Well, hello, Bill.
Hello, Don.
It's another fantastic Saturday in the Sawtee Valley, Sawtee, Georgia, and at the old Sawtee store. I guess today is just you and I, Bill.
Yeah, right now, yeah. It's and this day is, like it always is. Perfect humidity, perfect temperature, nice breeze. Isn't that the way it is all the time at the Sawtee store?
Yeah, all the time.
Year round, yeah. But I mean, it really is, seriously, it is probably one of the prettiest days we've had in a long time. We've had quite a bit of rain these past few weekends.
Yeah, this is the first real pretty day we've had. It was a busy weekend this weekend. The Shriners are in town.
Right.
And they have all kinds of parade vehicles that they ride around in the parade, and I saw them coming in on, well, actually earlier in the week, but they're all here
right.
now, and I think that is all going on today and tomorrow too. So,
right. And I'm sure we've had some of the Shriners in here today. Well, I know we've had some, and my wife's family in particular, were all Shriners and had the buggies, and they do good work. The Shriners do a good work. There's no question. That hospitals are amazing, and so I'm honored to know some really fine men and women that are involved in the Shriners.
We had a good picking session this morning. We had a couple of one first-time guest and one that has been here before a time or two. But Eddie Mayfield stopped by today. Right. And Jeffrey Forrester stopped by playing a 12 string.
We had a lady customer come in and play a little bit, and then I had one you guys didn't see. I had a young man on the front porch playing a little bit, very fine guitarist. And then we had two or three that I gave our little Sawtee store picks. We have our guitar picks that we like to give away, and we shared those today with some people. They were kind of special.
I mentioned on a previous episode that I had gotten a new electric lap steel guitar that I have named Blue.
Yeah.
And but I had forgotten the chord, so today I brought a chord, and I tried that out for a while, and
it sounded really good.
Well, I realized that it's not the instrument; it's the hands. The instrument.
But you could really hear the slides really, really cool today on that instrument.
It's a work in process. But
now, does your acoustic dobro, does it have a pickup on it? I mean,
it does not.
Because it's designed to produce sound the way with the hubcap on it, or whatever you call it.
The resonators.
Resonators, yeah.
So that was all fun, and we had a big time. We went for about 4 hours, I think, from start to finish, and never stopped.
I got on here really about one time. I got to come over and play because we were so busy. Lots of folks from, again, all over the world here today, Don. We had a number of people from India. This weekend we've had, we had a lady from China. I just remembered her. I met her this morning. England, Ireland. Goodness, where else did we have people from? Ukraine, and a number of people from South America, from Argentina and Venezuela, and I don't think it was Brazil. One of the other South American countries are here today, which is always fun, because I love to try to act like I can speak to them and make my sign language, and they all of them love the Nickelodeon, which we've talked exhaustively about, but that's always so much fun to have them come in. Had a young man who plays piano apparently quite well, and he was blown away with it, with the Nickelodeon today. About a 12-year-old, I think from Alabama. Of course, a lot of people from the States, some people from Kansas City, that places where I grew up, were here today. So that was kind of fun to have meet people you have a point of contact with. And we found we have a point of contact with, it's just about everybody. You can find something in common that you can visit with and learn about their professions. And I was just now talking to a man who was a firefighter. Apparently broke his back as a firefighter, and he's just gotten back to work now. He's in sales, and his wife's a nurse. And we had a wonderful visit about several funny things as well as serious things, and her nursing career and his firefighting career. He wanted to buy our little model fire truck, and with the horses on it. And I told him no, wouldn't for sale. But apparently, where he's from in Jackson, they have the real thing, that horse-drawn fire truck. And once a year, they hook up horses to it and ride it through town. I didn't know that. I think that's kind of interesting. I know we have an old fire truck here in town that they show off from time to time at parades and festivals, but I didn't know that about Jackson having that treasure. But wonderful visit with this guy. It was a lot of fun to visit with him. A lot of people returning. One of the early ones today had been 30-something years since they'd been here. They were teenagers, I think, when they first came, and they were bringing them back. Oh, and they had to play with the wampus. I had to show the wampus and had to scare a few folks with the wampus.
You know that's permanent, don't you?
What's that?
When you scare them, that is permanent.
Oh yeah, it's part of their life.
Yeah, it's in their system from then
They'll
on.
remember it the rest of their life. Yeah.
I have a friend. Well, we have a common friend. Clark McDonald is his name, and Clark's a big guy. He played football and all kinds of sports, and he never backed away from any kind of conflict that came about in his life. We were roommates in college and grew up together before that, and still remain friends. But 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago, when we first came to the store, he was the first person that called me, and he said, "Don, you know I'm not afraid of much, right?" And I said, "Yeah, that's pretty true." And he said, "I'm scared to death of the wampus." And he said, "My parents took me up there to that store when I was about 4 years old, and my dad sprung that trick on me." And he said, "I still have nightmares about it." So it is permanent.
Yeah, it inbred in people's mind, and they remember, and of course, they jump and then giggle, and
it scares the adults more than the children.
It really does. You know, the kids are maybe they're past all that, but it is fun to do. And I've had people from other countries that are already skeptical about coming in, and I show them the wampus, and I'm sure they go home thinking about that, maybe thinking it's still one of our wild. Well, it is one of our wild animals here in our part of the country. Because if you're listening today and you've not come to see the wampus, that's worth the trip to the store to see the wampus, have some cider and cheese, and visit with the folks around.
Well, Bill, you talked about people from other countries, and I know that we've mentioned this on this podcast before, that you've done a lot of traveling, and you've spent a particular great deal of time in the Middle East over your career and your lifetime, and I just thought it would be great, particularly given all that's going on over there and the conflicts and the hard times that those folks are having, but to delve back into that and share that with us, to your view of that area and what's going on.
Well, it's a marvelous area, and the goes back. Recorded history goes back several thousands of years, and of course, the conflict going on now is not totally new. There's been conflict in that area, part of the world, for centuries, and without getting on the political side of it, the fact is that there's a lot of different factors going on there, and we as Americans see only two sides, and there's a lot of sides to it. And you've got the Jews, you've got the Israelis, Israeli Jews, you have Israeli Arabs, you have Palestinian Arabs, you have Palestinian Christians, you have Israeli Christians, and so you've got all this mix of people. And what's interesting to me as a person that, talking about the store, there's a lot of just places to sit down and have a cup of coffee, like our deli, have a sandwich, and people of all these different groups on the street in general get along quite well. It's whenever radicals from one side or the other blow up the situation, and I use that, I guess literally. I wasn't even thinking literally, but I guess they do in this situation. But The bad thing about for the people there is that some of these small stores, like the Saltee store, it's not like the Saltee store, but ancient old stores. Of course, ancient over there could mean 1,000 years, in a store, but these stores are not able to operate because the tourism is not there. The local people still come and buy the products, like our local people come here and buy our cheese and buy gifts for family. And there's stores like that, but the large numbers of tourists is much smaller right now, of course. And I have friends that virtually have no work at all that are friends in the tourist industry. And some of them are even large landowners and hotel owners. They may be very wealthy, but I don't care how wealthy you are, your business shuts down. That wealth is going to be dissipated pretty quickly. And so that's exactly what's going on there in that respect. But again, just the average guy, the average man who's a wage earner, who's a builder, the funds are just not available for them to do the thing. So it's pretty upsetting. And yet at the same time, the land is still sacred. It's sacred to the Jews, it's sacred to the Christians, and it's sacred to the Muslims. And so, and there's a basic respect among the three groups in particular. And there's variations of those, just like we have in denominations in Christendom here in America. We have all these various denominations. Well, there's various denominations within Judaism. There's various denominations, so to speak, within the Muslim community. And so, and they all don't totally agree on this, that, and the other. But in general, prior to these radicals coming along the scene, people got along quite well. And that's what they're missing over there a great deal now. But it's for us as Christians, or for me as a Christian, and I can't speak for everybody listening on here, but for me it's a sacred land, because we believe this is the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it's the land of Jesus, Paul, Mark, all the Gospels, and these people that have meant so much to us in our faith and how we've learned to grasp our faith. We have some ladies coming by right now looking at us and watching us do the podcast, and they're sharing about our new picking porch. People are amazed at our picking porch. But
Bill, how many times do you think you've been to the Holy Land?
15 or 16 times anyway. And
Well,
I canceled 2 trips I was going this year. I was going once by myself and planning to go in January, and then I was taking a group in September. And I talked to my agent the other day, who handles a good personal friend, and as soon as it opens up again at all, I'm going to go by myself, meet some friends over there, and kind of get a feel for it before I bring anybody back. But things are going to have to calm down a little bit more for me to feel comfortable taking a group. I would go today if I could, because I know where to go, and of course, anything can happen anywhere. Anything can happen in Saltee, but I'm not afraid to go. But prior to all this, the country of Israel was safer than any American big city. Children could be in the street. They could get on their local mass transit, ride to school, ride over to see Grandma, ride down the road, go to see Papa in the store. They could ride the streets on their little 3-wheelers or little, what do we call those 3-wheel bikes when we were kids that you all had? Big wheels. They could ride their big wheel through I didn't have an ice kid, but you probably did, and my kids did. But it was quite comfortable, and you could walk at night over there. So again, I think it will probably come back to that point. I pray that it will, and so that the world can go back and revisit that marvelous land. But to the store's sake, there are stores like this all over the place, but there may be 10 of them all in one huge complex of buildings in a narrow street. Old buildings. The buildings are maybe even built into the walls of Jerusalem that have it may be a drugstore, a pharmacia is what they call it, a barber shop, a candy store. Matter of fact, there's in the old city of Jerusalem, there's an Alabama store, and it's just great big, and it's all about University of Alabama, and it's all about it's Alabama. Why in the world that happens, I don't know, but it's been there for years. I mean, great big red letters, Alabama, across the top of the store, just like we've got Saltee store in front of this. and it's right in there, and people going to flood into the Alabama store to get Alabama stuff, you know. And you can buy T-shirts from every sports group in the world, particularly in America. When I came back from this last time, my son-in-law is an Oklahoma fan, so I got Oklahoma written in a shirt in English and in Hebrew. And Georgia, my daughter went to Georgia, so she's got her shirt with the Georgia. I mean, so it's they know Americans will buy that stuff, you know. So because we're all intrigued by it, and of course the restaurants that we're familiar with here are there. McDonald's. There's a McDonald's right on the Sea of Galilee, right where you get on the boat to walk across. We're right across where Jesus walked on the waters. There's a McDonald's right there, and there's a haunted house right on the Sea of Galilee in Tiberias, and there's big bouncy things that children jump on, and these bungee cord things that people jump up and down on are right. So it's very American at one point. But the interesting thing, in Tiberias and the Old City as well, Old City of Jerusalem, at night you walk out. People go to bars, but not to go to get drunk. They go to visit with friends, like we do at the Saltese store. We'll have a cup of cider and we'll visit with a cup of coffee, or have a cheese sandwich or something here to visit with friends. They do that throughout the night, way into the night. And they're totally free. And I always, when I travel, people get tired real well. Pretty tired at the end of the day after traveling and touring all over. And I always say, I always put the old people to sleep, and then 2 or 3 of us young people go out and get a cab. And I guess they got Ubers over there. We were talking about Ubers earlier today, but get a cab or go to the mass transit, and they have a train that's similar to Atlanta's MARTA, except it's much easier to get on and it's much quieter. And you get on that from lots of places in the city, and you go right downtown to the old city in Jerusalem. And of course they have city buses, and people use mass transit. Of course lots of people have cars there, but and cars are interesting that you don't park on the street quite the same. You can pull up on a sidewalk in many places, and you have a button in your car that's like a transmitter that lets you know that you're parked there, and I guess you're charged, that whoever owns that piece of property can charge you your credit card or whatever for to park where you're parked. And if it's on the sidewalk, it's on the sidewalk. If it's in the street, it's in the street, you know. And
Curious, what kind of cars do they drive mostly there?
there's a lot of variations of Ford Motor Company cars. Most of the buses are Mercedes. But yeah, there's Toyotas and such, and some of the Korean cars like Kia over there, but a lot of variations of Fords and small, unusual shaped cars, though some of the Ford Fiestas and the Fusions and things like that you see. But there'll be, and some of them are odd colors, but they don't wash their cars like we do. Their cars get dirty. And a gas station might be, they have nice big gas stations, but in the city there'll just be a pump sitting somewhere, and you pull up there, a little service station, get gas. Kind of like, I guess maybe they did here at the Saltese store. They pulled up to one pump at the store, got their gas, and went on their way. But and there's, again, lots of them. People call, and I guess there probably is some sort of Uber or Lyft or something over there, but I've never taken advantage of it. Lots of cabs, and I've used cabs a lot of times. Sometimes I'm on a tour and somebody get ill or tired and that sort of thing, so I call down a cab and send them back to the hotel. Or if somebody wants to take a side trip that's not part of our tour, they'll grab a cab and go. So it's it's a wonderful place.
How does their diet, their food, restaurants and so forth
All right,
compare?
Falafel, a lot of fried fish, a lot of tilapia. They'll have a schnitzel, which is like a fried fish or a fish. Lots of vegetables. When you eat like when I take trips, we eat in the hotels much of the time. Huge buffets, olives every meal, cheeses at every meal, breads at every meal. According to if it's a Jewish restaurant, or a Jewish hotel, you don't have butter at night. You don't serve butter with meat. The Arab restaurants and such, you may have butter in the evenings and things like that. But lots of chicken, lots of turkey, prepared somewhat different than what we do. And like I say, when you go to McDonald's, it's not frozen food. It's they don't fry it. You don't have a bunch of frozen burgers they throw on the grill. They have fresh. I guess they deliver it regularly. A lot of wine at most meals, though Coca-Colas you pay for. You don't pay always for wine, but you will for Coca-Cola, and sometimes you pay for water. You don't usually have ice in your water. You can ask for it some places don't have it. So, most people that go over there gain weight, even though you're walking all the time when you go on tours, because you eat like crazy. I mean, elaborate meals, and you can. And when you go into hotels, with your hotel price, you're paying for your meal, and elaborate breakfasts, eggs any way you can think of eggs prepared, desserts, phenomenal desserts, and people can eat as much as they want. Usually, the first day or two, people eat like crazy, and then they veg out, and they're probably they're sugared out and that sort of thing, so it kind of slows down. But it's so hard not to eat because, like you were talking earlier about having a chance to eat in this barbecue place where there was a lot of plentiful styles of barbecue that you were fed the other day. It's just there, and you can't help it. And again, olives of every kind, and I'm an olive freak, and so I eat way too many olives. But it's good food, It's very enjoyable to eat, and people never are disappointed with the food. People are not disappointed. The cleanliness is terrific. Now, restrooms are somewhat different, especially if you're out in the city or out in the desert. They're a little bit more rustic, if I can use the word. Well, I'll just say we have a lot of squatty potties over there, which is always interesting when I bring the ladies there. But in the cities, it's the plumbing's different, but you're still working. And of course, the hotels are marvelous. They're just super clean and super nice. So it's a different world, but it's not uncomfortable world. Now, other parts of the world I've been, that's a different story. And but in Israel in particular, you get out in the desert, somewhat different. Egypt, somewhat different. I've been in the country of Jordan, much more different. That sounds dumb, not very grammatically correct, but it's much different and much more rustic. But and when you go out, when you're out in the desert, say the Judean hills, there may be just a boy, a camel, and some falafel, or just some pita bread with some spicy thing you can put on it as a snack. So he's making his living. Like our Kool-Aid stand, he'll have his daddy's camel and a falafel, and you can get that. And he may have a few trinkets that you can buy. But out in the desert, in the city though, you're bombarded with every kind of souvenir you can think of. You have to watch it because some of those genuine Israeli trinkets are made in China. So it's really quite. But if you know, and that's the advantage I've had from being there many times. I know where to take people to get genuine products. I know that they want to send back to their families. Olive wood. You grab a piece of olive wood over there, and the first piece you pick up is at least 100 years old. But some of these carvings and stuff, they're carved out of olive wood, the trees that are 1,500 years old, or maybe even 2,000 years old. Because olive trees just don't die off like trees do here after 150 years. How old's our tree out here, by the way, our oak tree?
Estimate between 120 and 150.
Mm-hmm. Well, olive trees are just getting started at that point.
Well, thanks for taking us to the Middle East. I've never been, and I appreciate you sharing.
You need to go
with
with me
us.
sometime.
Yeah, I'd like to. I know you brought some interesting things back. One thing I remember, it was a sign that said, help me, Shalom.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom, y'all. Did you get that at the Alabama store?
No, I could have. I'm sure he had them there.
I still can't figure that one out.
I'll show you some pictures one time at the Alabama store, right?
I mean, I would buy anything at the Alabama store anywhere. But,
Yeah.
You know,
But I've taken any number of people from Alabama with me, and they get so cracked up. And if we get there when they're closed, I guarantee I have to make arrangements to go back to that Alabama store. I mean, now we have a local barber here, Rocky, and I connected him with a fella in Jerusalem at the Nashville Barbershop, named after Nashville, Tennessee. And but he's an Arab fellow that lives in the city, has a neat barbershop, and they've exchanged gifts from the two barbershops. But so I imagine we ought to start in Georgia. Old Saltese Store East. That's what we'll do.
Far East.
Yeah, Far
Not
East.
Far East from here.
Yeah, Far East from here is the East. That's a good idea. We'll work on that.
We'll let you plant that seed.
I'll
when
plant
you're
that
over
seed.
there.
I'll take some
And
cider with me.
Maybe you can take us to some other places
Well,
here in the future episodes.
There are products from the Old Saltese Store that friends of mine have in Israel. One of my friends, I'll tell you this quick one, one of my friends says she can't quit thinking about me every day. And I said, why is that? She says, when I lay on my couch, I bundle up in my bare blanket that came from the Old Saltese Store.
Well, Bill, thanks again.
Thank
It was
you.
a great day. Thanks. Hope you all listen to us on the podcast. If you have anything in particular interest that you'd like us to dive into, please share with us. We'd love to.
Yeah, if
talk
you have a
about it.
story that around the
or a
story,
story
yeah,
you
yeah.
could share that we
We'd
could
love
include in our future dealings here, we would love to have you come by.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, Bill,
Don, God bless you, man. Have a great week.
you do the same.